What's up, guys? So as I mentioned in my last couple of videos, I'm going to be profiling all my fish individually. I'm going to be starting with the Frontosas just because I've had them the longest and I've done most of my research on them. I guess as a quick disclaimer, any of the information I'm giving you here, I've asked a few experts about some of the information. I've done my own reading, my own research, so if you guys have any further questions or disputes about what I'm about to tell you, then definitely hit me up and I will try my best to answer you. If you're looking for any further information on Frontosas, there's a fabulous group on Facebook. It's called Frontosas Plus. There are from amateurs to experts. There are some importers on there, but anything you're looking for Frontosa-wise, they will be able to answer it for you, whether it's a simple ID post. Well, I guess with Frontosas, ID posts aren't that simple, but if it's an ID post, any illnesses, any questions about the tank, food, definitely go onto that group and you'll probably be able to get answered quite quickly with them. There's a lot of great people, no drama on the group, so definitely check it out. But I guess to start, Frontosa or Cyphotilapia, they range from Lake Tanganyika. They can grow well over 12 inches in length. There are several different types of Frontosa depending on their collection points, and lately a lot of people are calling the more northern variants such as Burundi and Kigoma, which are minor Kigoma. They call them Frontosa as opposed to like the Zares, which are from the more southern regions of the lake. People are now calling them Gibarosa. I don't know if it's Gibarosa or Gibarosa, but I mean, either or. They've kind of split the name there. I call them all fronts. They're all the same species to me. But it's up to you how you want to call them. Let me flash a picture of Lake Tanganyika so you can get A lot of people say that you can identify a front or a gib by the deepness of their blues, but I mean, I totally disagree with that. There's a lot of markings on these fish. I know if at a glance they do all look very similar, but there are markings on them that can help you distinguish what collection point they're from. Like for example, the Tanzanites, which are like Mpimbwe or Kapili. They have a mask around the eyes that extends down to their jaw. Some people have called it a Lone Ranger mask or an upside down L. I'll show you guys what that looks like. Another variant would be Zares, which are like Mobas, Katumba. A lot of them have a Zorro mask. I believe all Zares have a Zorro mask, so it doesn't really go past the eye, and basically looks like this. And of course, the most obvious ones, which are Kagomas, which are like mine. They're identified by 7 stripes on both sides of their body. If there's only 7 stripes on one side, it could be poor breeding, a lot of inbreeding if they haven't put in like a different male. It's good to have a different male with your stock. Like these are all siblings, so when I am starting to breed, I'm going to be getting rid of my alpha male, which is this guy right here. Just to make sure that their genes are good. I'm probably getting a wild or an F1 to breed with. But if there's not 7 stripes on both sides, it could be a hybrid, it could be inbreeding. There's a lot of cases of that happening, so it has to have it on both sides to be a true Kigoma. There's a couple of man-made Frontosas as well, which are, there's like the Black Widow or Panda, which looks like this. I've heard people say that this is a natural mutation. I mean, in my opinion, they're hybrids or line bred, definitely man-made, which takes you into the good old argument of whether hybrids are okay or not, but I'm not going to get into that. There's also red Frontosas, or they're also called copper band. They look like this. Also man-made, it's or line bred. Basically, it's a Burundi with brownish stripes. I mean, it's a matter of opinion. I'm not fond of them. There's so many variants of Frontosa, I don't see why you need to go ahead and get something that would be line bred or man-made. But I mean, the opinions vary on that. There's people that adore those fish, so, to each their own. It's your tank, do what you want with it. But if you want further info about identifying a specific front, definitely do check out that Frontosa group. It's called Frontosas Plus because, like I said, there's a lot of experts there. Post a picture and they'll definitely be able to help you out with with exactly, you know, what type of Frontosa is. There's a bunch of people on there, and there's no drama or anything, so it's pretty okay. Basically, all Frontosas are characterized by a white or blue body with 6 or 7 stripes of black vertical bars. Full-grown adults grow a large knuckle hump. Usually the males have a more prominent one. I guess depending on the variants or the regions or collection points, some of them produce a larger hump than others. Like for example, Burundi, they get the largest ones, I feel, like in my opinion, from what I've seen. The Burundis get the larger humps that sort of droops over. The hump itself is basically a fatty deposit that rests on their dorsal muscle, and like I said, sometimes it droops forward as it gets really large. I'll show you a picture of a Burundi with a huge one right here. They also grow big gorgeous trailers, which are the front fins that you see extending down that just flow in front of them. That's my favorite part of them. I love to see the trailers on these fish. Absolutely gorgeous, but they're all deep water fish, no matter what the collection point is. Ones like Zer variants, they come from the deepest part of the lake, and it can actually take up to a week to bring those fish safely up to the surface in the wild without harming them. I believe they're usually found, all Frontosa, between 30 and 170 feet, which is super deep. They live near the bottoms, away from the shoreline. They can live to over 25 years old, which is a lot longer than other Africans, such as Malawi. There's really no difference in the appearance of males and females. Even with the knuckle hump, you can't be 100% if you're looking at a male or a female. I mean, that's my alpha there. And, I mean, his hump isn't really more prominent than others. So, I mean, you can't really tell just by looking at their humps. The only surefire way to figure out if you've got a female or a male is through venting. I mean, even that can be tricky with these guys, like to an untrained eye. So, I mean, males do appear larger, I guess, most times. But, I mean, again, the only thing I would trust, especially if you're trying to do some breeding or making sure you have the proper ratio in your tank, I would definitely go for for venting, or, you know, waiting for a tube to drop, and then you know exactly what you've got. Fronts are carnivores, piscivores, and you know they require a high protein diet. In the wild, they're known to dine on cyprochromis. They stay awake longer than most cichlids in the lake, so what they do is they scoop them up while they're sleeping. I learned that the hard way. I didn't do my research a while back, and I bought $75 worth of sips, which was only like 5 sips, and they slaughtered them the first night. So I mean, that was an expensive snack for them. Their tank diet should consist of a good like sinking pellet. If you have to feed flakes, definitely hold the flakes between your fingers, just under the surface of the water, and then release it for after a couple seconds so that it sinks. It's highly debatable, but if Frontosas come to the surface to eat, they sometimes end up with air bubbles, which can cause float. Like I said, that's another debatable fact. I mean, I know people that have said they fed flake food for years and years and nothing's happened, but in my opinion, I just prefer a sinking pellet or a sinking food for them. You can also feed them frozen foods such as mysis, prawns, squid, krill, stuff like that. They also enjoy veggies such as zucchini, cucumber. There's a girl in the group, one of the admins, that I believe she fed it honeydew melon, and they loved it. They live in colonies in the wild, so in a tank I wouldn't recommend keeping less than 4. Typically, you know, like one male and the rest female, as they're also harem breeders, so it's too many males in the tank will cause some fighting. I have 2 males in my tank. I'm going to have to get rid of one. I thought I'd be able to make out with it, but there's been a little bit of scrapping. There's my other male there. I think so anyways. I did vent them, so I know for sure I've got 2 males. But they will fight. They're very territorial, so it's best to keep them with 1 male. They're very shy, slow-moving fish unless they get spooked, and then they get really fast and clumsy. So, I mean, I still walk slowly towards my tank. If you sneak up on them too fast, they'll freak out. I've seen them hit themselves. So they're very shy. You know, it's best to keep them in a species-only tank or with similar tank mates. I've got mine with Calvis, which are, you know, they are a little bit faster than them, but they don't really typically swim fast. I don't even know where they are in the tank right now. There's like 20 of them in there, and you can't see hardly any. They hide a lot of the time. I did have these in with Malawi at one point. You know, when they're in with faster moving fish, they don't get a lot of food. They shy away, they hide. Their colors were a lot darker when they were with Malawi. So, I mean, I've seen people keep them with them. I mean, it's a matter of opinion. I tried once keeping it with, what do they call, lulupi, which are pretty fast. They look like Mabuna a little bit, but they all hid. All my Frontosa were hiding, and it was nipping at them. So, I mean, really do your research on the fish that you want to put them with. You don't want to stick them with something that makes them unhappy. They're gorgeous little creatures. You know, you should have at least one cave for the alpha male and a few rocks to give them all a sense of security. Personally, I think if you put too many rocks or too many caves in there, you're not going to see them. I like to build up a little bit higher rather than wider with the rocks, just to make a bigger footprint so that they don't just stay in one spot at all times. You know, it's really a matter of opinion. I've seen people with thousands of rocks and the fish swim around fine. But with my opinion, I mean with my tank, when I had a whole bunch of rocks in here, I barely saw them. So, you know, I've got very minimal rock work in there. So I can see them all the time. Makes me happy. I wouldn't suggest keeping them in less than 150 gallons. My tank's 120. It's really, you know, it's too small for the amount that I have. I've got 10. And eventually they'll be moving to a 300 gallon. But I mean at least 150 gallons for a group maybe a little bit smaller than mine, maybe with 6 or 7 or so, I'd keep it in a 150 gallon. But like my tank's too small. I've definitely got to get a bigger tank. Breeding's very inconspicuous. Most people don't really catch them in the act. You really only know when they're pregnant when you see a female with a mouthful, and then you're like, okay, I'm getting some fry. There's no flashing or shaking like with Vicks and Malawi. You don't get that fancy show. Basically what will happen is the male will choose a location, release his milt. The female will swim over, release an egg, and then pick it back up. She'll continue to do that until she's through. I think the male's milt is supposed to be powerful enough to fertilize the eggs for several minutes after he releases it. So females will hold for typically around 5 weeks. Small fish like the fry, if they come out, if you haven't taken out the eggs, stripped her and put the eggs in a tumbler, then you should remove the fry if you see them, because they will be food for them. Any smaller fish in the tank will, as long as it can fit in their mouth, it'll be food for them. So it's basically the same kind of deal with most other fish. I mean, no matter what type of Frontosa or variant of Frontosa you have, they're basically taken care of the same way. You know, they don't like a lot of light. You can see the difference between this tank. It's got brighter lighting. They just don't, I mean, I guess you could if you want to, but I personally don't. They're from deep water, like I say, so they don't really get too much light from where they are. But basically, you know, that's some basic information about Frontosa. Mine, again, are Kigoma. Their collection point is Bangway. A lot of people say you can tell that just by looking at the yellows in their fins. Oh, my tank glass is dirty. Sorry, guys. But the yellows aren't really showing up on camera, but I'm sure you guys have seen pictures, anyone that follows me on YouTube. But the more northern the fish, the more yellows you'll get. Mostly just Burundi and mostly Kigoma will have the yellows in the fins. The rest of them are a lot bluer. But yeah, that's some basic information about the fish, you guys. If you have any questions, like I said, hit me up on YouTube, or you can definitely join the group, Frontosas Plus. I'll flash it across the screen here for you guys. And, you know, any other questions, like IDing the species, or, you know, any illnesses, any variants, any food advice, anything you need. Basically, there's a lot of experts and people that know a lot about these fish on there, so you can get some great advice from there. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. My next profile will probably be on Calvis before I move over to the Malawi tank, so let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Hope your fishies are doing well. Take care.